So I've been stuck in a house for the last few months with this quarantine, or last month or so, and getting a little stir crazy here. So I decided to attempt to try to make some tutorials. And the first one I'm going to do is a Tiny Worlds tutorial. So I don't know how this will go. We'll give it a try. But essentially, what I'm going to try and attempt to do is make a tutorial on how to make one of these. So first thing you need to do is take a panoramic shot, a 360-degree panoramic shot. You can do that handheld, but it's a lot easier if you do it on a tripod and just spin it around and take a bunch of shots. I probably went a little overkill on the picture overlap, but you want enough. The more overlap you have, then the less distortion there's going to be in the photo. So what I did, if you can see here, is just a series of pictures. They go around in a circle. And so once you have those pictures in Lightroom, then you can, well, let me switch over here to develop. Then you can stitch those pictures together. You just hold down Shift, click on the first, and then click on the last photo. And then you can right mouse click on it and do photo merge panorama. That's going to take a few minutes. I've already done it, so this is pretty much what the outcome is right here. So from here, what you want to do is to take it into Photoshop to do the rest of the stuff. So if you have Photoshop, right mouse click, edit in, and Photoshop. Alright, once it's in Photoshop, what we want to do is to make a 360 or a tiny world, the top, the length, and the height have to match. So if we go into image and then image size, and what we do is copy the height and paste it into the width and click OK. And it's going to create a 1x1 here. So you can see it's a little distorted. The next thing we want to do is click on image and then image rotation 180. After that, we're going to go to filter, distort, and polar coordinates. What that's going to do is that's going to make the 360 shot. So there you have your 360. I don't like where the church is at on this one, so I'm going to rotate the image. So image rotation, I'm going to go clockwise. And then also, you can see where the seam is here. That's pretty easy to get rid of. You can either use the healing spot brush, or you can use the clone stamp. I'll probably use a little bit of both. I'm going to set my flow to about 20% so it fades in. And I'm going to sample just off to the side and then paint over. And then what I'll probably do to get rid of a little bit in the trees is use the healing brush. There we go. And then you're not going to notice that. One other thing that I might do is the top of the church, the steeple looks a little compressed. So I'm going to probably fix that real quick and elongate that. So I'm going to go into the Liquify tool. And I'm I'm going to take the top here and kind of pull it up a little bit. Just to kind of make that look. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and click OK and save. Now, the other thing we could do with this is you can see where it kind of pulled the images on the sides. I'm going to crop most of that out, but if we wanted to fix these lines here, if you can see the lines, an easy way to do that is the clone stamp tool. So if we click on the clone stamp, maybe around 20% flow, I'm going to make the brush a little bigger here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sample down here, and then I'm just going to paint up a little bit. To kind of keep the colors the same so they fade, I'll sample just below. So it kind of makes it fade in and look a little more natural. Oh, got a little too much. Control Z. I might change that to, excuse me, might change that to 25 to get a little more flow here. If you zoom in, you can see that's mostly gone. So I'm not going to do it on the rest of the image, but what I would probably do is go around the rest of the image and clean up the sides. So from here, I'm going to take it back into Lightroom. So we want to save. So File and Save. Save As. Alright, so that should have put it back into Lightroom. We go into Lightroom. And then from here you can do your final edits on it. I'll do one quick one. I think that the church, I like the sky, I like how bright it is. I think that the church could be a little brighter. So I'll go into my adjustment brush, raise the exposure, and see, you can see how it's sometimes it's kind of hard to paint in the lines. And so here's a neat little trick you can do. If you go into the ranged mask, we're going to create a mask. I'm going to do a color mask. We'll give that one a try. So you take this little eyedropper and click it on the white. Okay. And click back on the eyedropper, and then what I'm going to do is we'll click the O so you can see where you're painting. And now when we paint, see, it keeps it within the lines because we highlighted the white, so that's what we want to be on. Let's see, to be on for the brush. Alright, so that's in the lines now. I'll press O again so you can see what the picture is. And then I'm going to take the exposure. Maybe bring that up a little bit. Maybe bring the whites up a little bit. And I think the building might still be a little dark. So I'm going to do one last brush on this. So we'll do, let's see, we're going to close that. We'll click on the brush tool again. I'm going to target the building Going to use the mask again also, so we'll do luminance for this one. So it's going to target the darker color. Do that sample there. And now if we click the O button again, we can see where our mask is and see if while I'm coloring this in, it doesn't get on the white. It's only getting the darker color there for the most part. We can refine it a little bit if it goes outside the lines. So it's not perfect, it's just quick, but to refine it, if we want to zoom in here, if we see it overlapping into the white a little bit, what we can do is use this little slider. And so if I slide the top here to the left, it's going to change it more to the dark side, and still you can kind of see that there's still some red inside the white. So what we can do is the smoothness, if I take that to the left, it'll refine it even more. So now it's pretty much inside the lines of what we're looking for. All right, let me do this last one right here. And right there. All right, so I'm gonna zoom out. I'm gonna take off the mask by clicking O. And now what we can do is we can mess just with the church color there. And we can see that I missed a little bit. So if I go all the way up, then that gives us a better idea of where the mask worked and where it didn't. Okay, so if I'm going to take the temperature up, I'm going to add some clarity to it so the bricks kind of have some definition. Maybe add a little color to it so the red comes out a little more. A little texture gives it a little more definition. All right, and the last thing I'm going to do is I'll probably adjust the sky. So I'm going to close that out. Sky's pretty blue. I'm going to make it more of a teal color by going into the hue and sliding the blue over to the left. One thing you'll notice as I do that, it turns the church, the white to blue. So what I can do to fix that is if I go back into my brush tool, I can click on the brush that we used for the church, and I can take the saturation down, and that brings the white back in the church. So actually I might just throw let's do that. Throw that on there. So it's a preset. That's pretty much it. And hopefully this works. This is my first attempt at creating a little tutorial here.